Then I finally said, screw that. I'm being me. I'm being the leader that I believe is needed.
He hasn't replaced the great human with something else. Oh, I'm a great technologist. Oh, I'm the smartest person in the room. No, he's a great human who cares. He has great caring for those around him.
That's where a lot of the work is in those moments where you're like, what are you saying? Is hitting that pause button and saying, what am I missing? Not what are you saying, but what am I missing? And then
Right.
working with that person to understand. And that's really, really hard when emotions are high.
What if we took that and we moved it into organizational leadership for communication and for advocacy? What the hell would that do to our companies? And I think the answer would be something positive out of that. Entry music. Da, 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 da. It's the Bob and Josh show.
We're doing a bit of a crossover today for those of you that have followed along for the past, uh, I don't know, year or so. Bob has been documenting his caregiver journey, and he stumbled upon an article on LinkedIn, as he does, that talks about the crossover of caregiving and great leadership tend to overlap. So we're going to hit that today. Bob is going to give us the real intro. I'm just the guy saying the words. So Bob, take it away.
Thank you for that segue, Joshua, my friend. No, hey, Metacasters. So this is Samantha B. I don't know her last name other than B, but I think it does have letters after it. On LinkedIn, posted this thing, uh, and I'm just going to read a little bit of it, and then we're going to cover. She put 8 items in there. So she said, family caregivers don't just step up; they build leadership muscles most professionals never develop. And I saw that and I was like, whoa, that's pretty bold. And that might have implications to the Medicast. And then she said, caring for a loved one with dementia is one of the most demanding long term roles a person can take on. And yet, many caregivers don't realize they're developing elite level leadership skills every single day. And then she gave us a list of 8. And I couldn't agree more with her setup that if you think your leadership job, so if you're an agile coach and you think your job is tough, or you're a leader of any stripe and you think your job is tough, particularly that slimy CEO that laid off 4,000 people. Oh, am I still scarred? I'm still scarred by the last episode. So, but particularly, but if you think your job is hard, try caregiving and all, it's. I'm serious, but I'm doing it in a lighthearted way. It's freaking hard every day, and you really have to manage things. So, I really admired her twist, and I'll start. We're just gonna walk the list. We'll give you a link to the post in the episode. Not we, Josh will, because he does all of that, and he does it nicely. But I'm going to start. I'm going to start. The first one is rapid decision making under pressure. And real quickly, she said dementia care requires constant problem solving with incomplete information. And you have to assess quickly, you have to act decisively, you have to adapt fast, just like high performance leaders. I Now I'm going to say yes, that's a requirement. The other thing I'm going to add, I'm going to surprise Josh a little bit, is how much of this do we see in today's leaders?
Yeah, I got you.
So 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 I agree with that. Now, do how much of that do I see? I see rapid decision making, but what I'm going to call is most of the time I see knee jerk decision making or reactive decision making, and it lacks the thoughtfulness that you have that she's alluding to. Not all leaders, but I think a lot of leaders are just like they're sort of in an emergency situation. It's like the boat, the decisions you make when the boat is sinking or something like that. Even when the boat isn't sinking, they're not thinking. The other thing that they don't do, and caregivers can't do this, is engage the crowd, the wisdom of the crowd. And I see a lot of leaders, like engaging other people in making those crisp decisions. For example, making product level decisions. and making them themselves. They can make it. So maybe the quality of the decision making today's leaders could be better and could be more thoughtful and using the caregiver as a goal or as a guide. Josh,
Yeah. I
reaction?
so this is something I'm going to go for a little bit before I dig into this first item. This is something that I've wrestled with a lot as a leader is it doesn't equate to caregiving as Bob is talking about and Bob is dealing with right now. But I've always felt that trying to be a good parent teaches you how to be a better leader. It doesn't make you a good leader, but there are lessons that are similar to this. But that's a thing I never wanted to talk about. I never wanted to say it because the last thing I wanted to say to my team was, I think about you guys just like I think about my kids. Like that feels insulting and not right. So I've always shied away from that. But I've thought that these caregiving things in all directions certainly drive this. Now, the world Bob is in now is certainly a much more challenging space than I've been with raising kids. But I think the key difference is that in these moments, the decision must be made. Whereas in
Ah,
business, people can opt out and
love that.
they can put it off or blame somebody else or do something. But in these moments, in the world Bob is in right now, and many caregivers, is you have to make a choice now. There is a decision that must be made. You can't delay it. There's no one else to look to. It's on you. And daggone it, let's hope I get it right. And that's a whole different set of pressure than, oh gosh, which should it be blue or should it be red? I don't know. Let me sit on that for another week and maybe we'll decide. And then you never decide, right? But this is a whole different type of pressure cooker that people are in where it is decisions about humans they care very deeply about. And that choice must be made now. And if not, then nothing good's going to happen.
And you make them with the doctor, so you do get some advice. As I was thinking about it, as Josh was talking, so it's not like you make all decisions alone. You have Diane and I have a care team, um, but I have little information sometimes,
Yeah.
right? The other weird thing is I have to trust. It's not weird, but it's hard for me at times. I have to trust the doctor. I have to remind myself, like, not blindly trust. I won't, right? I need to sort of validate what they're saying. I don't want to blindly trust anyone, but I have to trust their experience in making decisions that are really crucial for my wife's health or her well-being. And so learning to do that decision making and trusting others is a part of it. That is something. And I think again, leaders, this is a crossover. This is not, we're not trying to turn anyone into a caregiver. We're actually trying to say, can we learn from this really
Right.
tough job and what can we carry over? And two things, what can we assess where the state of the leadership world is and what can we do to improve that a little bit? So the second one is emotional intelligence and regulation, managing unpredictable behaviors, calming stressful situations, and supporting a loved one's emotional world strengthens empathy, patience, and self management. This is probably one of the areas that, for me personally, I struggle with the most because my wife has Lewy body dementia. I don't mean to give anyone too much information. So she has a dementia type, a pretty serious dementia type. It's an accelerating dementia type. It's a very variable dementia type. So one minute she's sort of my old wife, and the next minute she's not anymore at all, and somewhere in between. So I can react poorly. Like I can bring my old Bob, and I want to debate her. She just said something silly, and I want to lecture her, right? And I want to react. I want to react emotionally, or I want to overreact, or whatever. And I'm not understanding and meeting her where she is. So it's not her behavior; it's my behavior. It's how am I managing my emotional intelligence, my ability to show up. And I think leaders very often that's an area where we can improve. Again, uh, I'm not gauging state of the art. I do think there's a genre of leader that they filter. They're really good by masking but inside they're going to act out and things like that, right? They're going to pay back. So that's not true emotional intelligence. That's sort of facade emotional intelligence, and then coming back at someone. But true emotional intelligence is you're really working on how you process, how you regulate, how you meet folks. What is your behavior? Uh, and sort of moderating any triggering that would occur, and you really don't trigger very much on others' behavior. Maybe assuming positive intent would be a part of that as well. Assuming positive intent on the part of the folks that you're leading, but it's something to me. It's a constant thing I need to be working on. I need to be aware of. Otherwise, if I'm not aware of it, if I'm not working on it, then I'll revert to old behavior. So I have to be intentional about it, and it's a work in progress for me. Josh, any leadership reactions to that?
Yeah, I think that's a journey that I know I've been on throughout my career and I will continue to work on because I'm sure I'll never get it perfect. Is when you get triggered emotionally, it is going to happen. There are high stakes
Yeah,
decisions. You're representing a team. There's often lots of lenses, and there are situations within an organization where tension is intentional and almost required. As you think about different parts of the organization have different things they're trying to deliver on. Sales is trying to sell. Engineering wants to build the perfect product. People want to ship a fast product. All of these different things are working against each other but towards the greater good, and that means there's hard decisions, and there are times when someone's going to have a take, someone's going to have a lens, someone's going to say something that just feels as if it's completely contradictory to what you're trying to do. And in those moments where I've failed was I wasn't able to put myself in their seat and see the world through their lens and understand. And one of the things that Bob has talked about through his work with Orsk is being able to put the problem not between you, but be shoulder to shoulder with the people that you're working with, and the problem is out there. So we aren't working against each other, we are working with each other. And so that's a mental reframe that when something happens in a meeting or a discussion or something and I just want to like rip my hair out, what little I have, I say, stop. Okay, what am I not understanding? What do I need to reframe in my mind so that I understand why they're saying the thing that they're saying? Because the intent is positive. Because I know they want to do a good thing. I know they want to help us achieve this thing. I'm just not understanding why yet. And so I put that work on me. And so that's where a lot of the work is in those moments where you're like, what are you saying? Is hitting that pause button and saying, what am I missing? Not what are you saying, but what am I missing? And then
right.
working with that person to understand. And that's really, really hard when emotions are high, just in the business world. But and then you put in the situation with a loved one, and that's a whole nother level, right? That just cranks everything up a million notches. So I certainly understand where this is at.
The third one is change management, and she said dementia changes daily, sometimes hourly. Caregivers become expert at pivoting, replanning, and guiding others through ongoing change. Uh, I couldn't agree more from a caregiving point of view that I can't. I mean, I plan, and Josh, if you know me, I'm sort of a planner kind of guy. And I mean, I'm a historical planner kind of guy. Then I'm an agile planner kind of guy, but I'm a planner kind of guy. Um, I do lightweight planning. I have to do some like medications. I have to plan medications and things. But at the end of the day, I'm just along for the ride. When I describe lately, I've been describing Diane's Lewy bodies as a roller coaster. So to doctors and stuff, and I'm like, it's just up just on a given day. It's like all over the place with that, and I have to meet that. So there's a nimbleness to that. There's a just embracing it. I think what it's helped me is to just embrace the chaos. Um, I think as a leader, one of the things I probably have not done as good a job of is embracing chaos. I try to sort of, my mental view for myself is I'm captaining teams through the chaos. Uh, but Uh, Maybe that's my planning background coming in, but I think I have work to do. If I was leading today, Metacasters, I'm not, right? I'm slightly retired, and Josh is the leader for today. But if I was leading today, I think I would be working on my ability to lead through chaos, and really make micro shifts and really handle change effectively that way.
Yeah, I
Josh?
think things that, Bob and I and our relationship over the past couple of decades was anchored on Agile, and Agile was really meant to accept that change was coming and not try to fight it, but try to deal with it and um, just know it's coming and be able to respond and have a mindset that the world isn't ending. Now that's easy to say with a project or something like that, but then you again you start wrestling with these higher stakes things, and that's when um, that's when I think back to all of the times everything's ever gone wrong with every project I've ever led or everything is that the way we thought it was going to go was never the way it went, and our capability to win was defined by how we responded to the things that we didn't know were going to happen, and what was the mindset that we had in those moments when we learned a piece of information that would have been really helpful to have known 6 months ago when we started building a thing or doing something like that. And unfortunately, you can't know all of the things. If you wait to start building until you know all the things, you'll never start building. So you have to forge ahead. And those moments and those times where we've been able to read and react, those have developed muscles. And I think that's what puts Bob in a good place is he spent decades coaching companies to go through this. So I feel as if there's someone that's going to be capable of dealing with that as best as possible, I feel like Bob's going to be a guy because of those things. And I think that's what great leaders do. Great leaders make sure we're moving forward and know that change is coming, knowing that it's a roller coaster, but knowing we have to keep moving because there are times where all that change hits you and you freeze and you stop. And that doesn't help anybody.
Absolutely. Or you overreact, or you over pivot, or you over. There's this, I think there's a, not about me, but there's this finding the sweet spot, Metacasters, in the balancing act. You're almost like on the head of a pin and you're balancing through change and chaos. It's getting harder, decade over, to today. And how do you balance in the most effective way? Maybe surfing would be another metaphor. You're on a, not that I've ever done that, but you're on a surfboard and you're riding the wave. And you're, for me, I'd be riding the wave from the bottom of the sea. But if you're a good surfer, you're riding the wave and you're anticipating. Let me get to her fourth one is something that I think we've talked about in the medic. I know we've talked about in the Medicast. Is it's communication and advocacy. And it's from navigating healthcare systems to coordinating with family and employers. Caregivers become powerful communicators who can influence, negotiate, and advocate for what's needed. Uh, I I couldn't agree more. And in the healthcare industry, you can't be quiet. You can't be a quiet advocate. You can't be a meek advocate. You have to. Uh, I hate. How do I say this? They're not listening to you. So this is going to come as a shock to everyone in the United States, but the healthcare system doesn't necessarily listen very well to patients, and it doesn't, and they don't necessarily communicate across doctors very well. And oh, I know it's shocking. So, or pharmacists to doctors. So someone has to be there to communicate and to advocate for in my case, for my wife. In the leader's case, for your product, for your product's connection to your customer. In the leader's case, for your people, and advocate for them and their growth and their excellence and hiring the right folks and headcount. Just like we were talking about in the last Medicast about that CEO not being an effective, just cutting people out. I know I keep coming back to him, Josh. Someday I will recover. So, but that's he again, it's not that it's that view of advocacy. I'm there for, and I'm communicating for the good of the delivery, for the good of the team, for the good of clarity. And excellent leaders do that. Now, again, the stakes. Josh has said the stakes a few times. I wish the stakes were higher on our leadership side. The stakes for caregiving are freaking high. If I don't do that, I'm almost going to get teary here. If I don't do a good job, I'm not perfect, but if I don't do it, my wife's care will suffer. My wife will suffer. Someone I love will suffer. Uh, what if we took that? If you notice, Metacasters, I'm getting emotional here. What if we took that and we moved it into organizational leadership for communication and for advocacy? What the hell would that do to our companies? And I think the answer would be something positive out of that. Josh, reactions?
Yeah, I think stakes are different, but I certainly feel a similar responsibility for my team. I feel a responsibility for those hundreds, thousands of people that are counting on me to represent them and the product they're building well. That is counting on me to have their back and to fight for them when it needs to happen. And there have been many times where I'm walking into a room or a meeting or a discussion, and there's a discussion I don't want to have. I don't want to do it, but I have to for the similar reason of if I don't fight this fight, then what am I doing here? What kind of leader am I? If I'm going to shy
Yeah.
away from this in this very important discussion or event or something where I need to advocate for my team and I need to make sure that whatever they need is getting done, whatever the situation is, there's a situation that you as the leader are going to have to go and make the thing happen. You can't wait for it to happen. You have to go find a way, find that lever, find that discussion, find a way to go get that thing done. Oftentimes, when you have no idea how in the world you're going to do it, but you
Right.
know you've got to go figure it out because if you don't, no one else will. And so that's the situation that Bob's talking about, where if he doesn't do this, no one else will. There's a responsibility of it, it is on Bob. And as a leader, it is on you to ensure the
Yep.
success for your team. No one else is going to do it. No one else is going to make it happen. If you sit around and wait for somebody else to do it or from a
Yep.
board to grant you that wish that maybe you mentioned in one slide 6 months ago, no. You're going to
Yep.
have to fight for it. You are going to have to go and you're going to have to be a little noisy. You're going to have to be say things maybe you don't want to, but it's in the end you have to find a way to drag that across the finish line. And it's never easy, it's never simple. And that's just from leading a team. Forget the world that Bob is in right now. Like that's a again, we talk about stakes. That's 100x.
But again, it's equally important, and I'm glad Josh brought that up. Leaders, look at it. Look at yourselves as caregiver. Maybe I haven't said that. We said crossover episode. You are. Put on the mindset of a caregiver from the point of view of this list of what this young lady is saying. That maybe that can fundamentally shift your leadership mindset. The fifth one is one that it's light for me. It's operational excellence. It's managing appointments and meds and safety and behavior patterns and routines and home management. Caregivers essentially run a complex op with no manual building systems thinking, process optimization, and skills along the way, is what she said. I think of this as like the blocking and tackling with a nod to Josh's football background. This is that tactical stuff in the execution. This is giving you as a leader so often. We talk about leadership as being ethereal or sort of supernatural or strategic or looking ahead and I I'm smacking myself a little bit here. It's like I don't know if we acknowledge that it's also a tactical exercise of getting shit done, of putting things in place. This morning, everyone, I was sitting there with a week's medication box with 4 boxes per day, and I'm taking a ton of meds and I'm filling up the boxes. And there was something, it was very tactical. There was nothing strategic about it, but I accomplished something. It has to be done. It's an operational, tactical thing. And I wish more leaders, I think a lot of leaders go here, and I don't know if they give themselves leadership credit for doing it in the right way, not letting it overwhelm you, but making sure that you're on the operational side as well. Joshua?
One of the mental models I think of, and I keep in the back of my head, is doing the routine work routinely. And it has to be a thing that you do. And there are so many folks that will start off doing that new thing and they'll do good for a week or a month or whatever, but then that routine goes away. So you have to do the routine routinely. Nod to Mike Tomlin, Steelers. We're going back to football, but I certainly borrowed that from him. But that's a thing where, as a leader, uh, whether you're leading people or leading yourself or leading whatever, the value of the consistency of the things that have to get done always get done. Things will start to fall apart when the things that have to get done slowly stop getting done. And as a leader, that's modeling behavior. If your team sees you doing the routine things routinely every time, every day, every week, every one-on-one, every quarterly meeting, every whatever it is, you start to set a tone for this is what we do. We win because we do the fundamentals well, we do them right, we do them every time. You think about building a product and the patterns and standards that your product starts with, and then your product gets old, and a year later, those patterns and standards are now gone. And you're like, well, what happened? The only thing that happened is people stopped doing those fundamentals. It wasn't that the world changed, you changed your ideas. It was just that foundation started to crumble. And so great leadership, great teams, great product, great families, great, all of these things start with doing the somewhat boring, the somewhat simple, the somewhat whatever you want to label them, those things every day and doing them well consistently. That's what winning looks like. And that, to Bob's point, not a lot of people talk about that, but that's a thing.
Absolutely. I can't believe you gave Tomlin credit. You should have just taken that. If you wouldn't have mentioned him, you could have taken credit for that brilliant quote yourself, Josh.
No.
I would have done that. Uh, Metacast is the sixth one is, and we're getting into some that are, they're all striking me, but this is resilience and strategic endurance. And I just love the phrasing there, strategic endurance. And it's dementia caregiving isn't a sprint. It's an endurance leadership. Caregivers learn to sustain focus, recover quickly, and lead through challenges that would overwhelm most people. Um, it's the long game. It's both. I actually have an article I'm working on for my caregiving Substack. Someone said it, I forget who it was. She either said it's a sprint or a marathon or something. And I sort of said it's both. Caregiving to me is, and which makes it difficult, it's a sprint and a marathon. And so you need resilience in the short term to sprint, and you need resilience for the long term. You need to build that as leaders. We need to build that. We need that strategic endurance, that see it through, that stick to itiveness. When people that are looking to us for leadership, like you know, it's different. So your teams on the organizational leadership side are looking to you for this. My wife has lost her ability. She's not looking for, she needs it, but she's not asking me. My wife's really not there most of the time right now. So I'm just Bob. Sometimes, she still knows I'm her husband, but there's a lot of our relationship that's gone. And so there's not that, historically she's had that expectation. I was the strategic person. I was the planner. Now those expectations have gone away. So I have to self-generate them. When you look around in your teams, all eyes are looking, leadership, eyes are looking at you. You need to provide that. And this is where that resilience and that endurance, you need to provide that. We've talked about that, I think, in a past Metacast. One way we phrased it is bringing yourself every day, bringing
Yeah.
it every day. And whether not, if you're sick, that's fine. You can skip a day, you can have a day off, you can have a bad day. But in general, on average, you have to bring it every day. And that's that view. And I'm not bringing it, I mean, I'm bringing it lightly for me. It's part of my role as a caregiver. Uh, that's what that's the job, whether I like it or not. And you know what? I didn't say this earlier. I don't like caregiving is not for the faint of heart. It's not something I really like doing. It's
You didn't
something
sign up for it. You
I
didn't
didn't
say,
sign
"Hey,
up for
can I
it.
have that?" Yeah.
Can I have that?
Yeah.
But damn, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. And I think I'm thankful my leadership stuff comes crosses over. My leadership mindset helps me with that. It's like, damn, it's the job, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability for as long as I possibly can. So, Josh, any reactions?
Yeah, there's a couple thoughts I have there is that yes, I think a team is looking to you to do those things, but I also think there's times when they don't really know what leadership looks like. So there's things that you're doing and they're like, what the hell is this guy doing? Because they don't recognize leadership because they've not had the opportunity to see it in action. And so there will be times where you're doing these things and people start to question you, but you know this is the right thing. So you have to really invest in over explaining and making sure there's clarity on why this is the thing. Also, anybody can be a great teammate when things are good. You know, Bob is showing what a great husband looks like, what a great teammate looks like when something goes different than expected. And many people would just be like, hands up, sorry, I'm out. This is not what I signed up for. But no, great leaders, great teammates lean in when things don't go as planned and say, all right, we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna make this happen. I don't know how, I don't know what it's gonna look like, but we're gonna figure it out. And figuring it out is never gonna be simple. It's never gonna be overnight. It's never gonna be a quick answer. It's gonna be the things we've talked about. It's about doing the fundamentals right day in, day out for months, years, decades, all of those things. And that is tiring. It is tiring to do all those things. It is tiring to try and do the right thing every time. It is much less tiring to take a day off, to say, oh, we're not going to do that. But then, oh, we're not going to do that turns into, oh, we're never going to do that again. And so it starts to deteriorate over time. So being a great leader is tiring. Being someone that does things as right as they can every time is tiring. And when you are in it for the long haul, when you are building a product, when you are leading a family, when you are helping a loved one, there is no end date to that. That doesn't end, right? You don't turn that off. Those are not things that go away. They just are. And so it is without a doubt going to be a challenge. Okay.
Seventh one is collaboration and delegation. Again, this is one of those, I'll be vulnerable, I'm still working on this. This is effective caregivers build care teams, family, neighbors, healthcare providers, community resources. They learn when to take the lead, when to ask for help, and how to coordinate a multi person effort. This is an area of, and this shouldn't shock Josh, asking for help is not one of my strengths. Giving help is one of my strengths. Loving people is one of my strengths, or caring about people, wanting to develop people. Doing it for myself is not. I'm getting a lot better. But this is an area where, as a leader, you need to lean into the things you've built and give yourself permission. This is that self-care aspect of give yourself care for yourself as a leader. So yes, you have to bring it every day, and a part of that is making sure you do that is self-care. It was funny, Josh, real quickly. I was talking to Diane's sister in Alaska last night, and they haven't. She hasn't seen Diane in a long time, and she's traveling to Florida. And we were talking about. I'm like, I would really love it if you came by to visit. You know, and she was talking about maybe July or the summer visiting, and then I went into Bob silly Bob mode, and I'm like, and when you get here, Carolyn, I will say hello and goodbye because I will have my bags packed because she gave the door up. She said, and I'll help you take care of Diane. And I said, damn Skippy, you will. I'll be at the door with my bags, and I'm going to be going to Hawaii. So we will pass in the night and you can take care of your sister for a while and give me a break. And we were laughing about that. But there was a grain of I will have my bags packed to that. And I'll take that help.
Yep.
Right. I'll take that help and I'll triple that help and I'll make use of it. And I'm actually, and the caregiving is really helping me And I was on that path anyway. I was on that path, but it's really helping me to get on that path. And even I have friends who call me on it. Josh calls me on it. Talks to me about about that. Do you need help? What are you doing about that extending? So it's making sure that you're leveraging. If you're a great leader organizationally, you're building a great organization. Lean into that. Are you delegating? Are you trusting? Are you growing? Are you walking away and going to the beach and going fishing? And if you are, invite me along.
Yeah, there's another layer I want to put on top of that that I'm I'm doing a whole lot more now of. Um, but I know in my career I wasn't great at. And Bob was on my case about this early and repeatedly. And I didn't listen, young punk Josh didn't listen to Bob enough when he should have. Was I didn't build a network that was strong enough. I did okay. I worked on building my brand, but I see a ton of leaders that are out there that haven't really invested in collaborating across the industry and really getting to know people like Bob, like me, like others that just want to help. You will be amazed at the number of people that want to and are willing to help you if you just ask, if you show up, if you go to an event. When was the last time you went to an industry event? A free one. I bet there's free ones in your city sometime in the next month. When's the last time you've been to one? Leverage that to get better. They're not all going to be perfect. They're not all going to be wonderful. They're not all going to be home runs. And you're going to say, man, I'm really glad I did that. But if you keep going, good things are going to happen. And that was something that, again, Bob was in my ear for a long, long time. And I ignored that advice when I should not have. And over time, I've gotten better at that. But it's still work that I see many, many, many leaders need out there, especially in trying times like today, when, for all you know, you could be part of a 40% cut within your organization. And you might be a top performer. You might be crushing it. But maybe there's a decision that's been made that you have no control over, that now you're in a situation where if that network was real, if that network was pre-established, you'd be in a better spot. So that's all I wanted to add to that. Okay, the final one, Bob.
Final one is compassionate leadership. Caregivers lead from the heart, not the ego. They make decisions rooted in dignity, humanity, and love. Leadership at its highest level. Uh, I see this as a direct, or I would hope. Actually, I don't see it as much as I'd like. I see it, but I hope for it in professional organizational leadership. But as a caregiver, it's all about love. And you have to reconnect to love. You have to reconnect to relationship because it gets so hard sometimes. I try to be present. I try to have flashbacks to earlier in my marriage with my wife, and little moments that remind me how much I care for her, and they help buoy me up for the hard stuff in the journey. And I'm intentional about that because it's not always evident with her evolution. It's not always there. I've lost my wife to some degree. Like I said, when we go to the organization, why are you doing leadership? Are you doing it out of you? Then that's great. You don't listen to the Medicast anymore. We're not for you. Okay, we're not. We're for people who care about humans. We're for people who are growing into growing humans. We're here for people who actually want to make money, shit tons of money, and grow great organizations and build great products. So we're not hippies, right? We get the economic dynamics, but we also offset it with the human dynamics. We're not AIers for its own sake. Oh, we'll just hire AI like the person that laid off. I can't let go of it. That laid off those people. We're balanced, but it's about relationships. It's about that compassionate leadership, that we're not leading machines, we're not leading spreadsheets, we're leading people. And the best leaders, that's what makes Josh a great leader. Josh is not a great leader because of his intelligence. This could go badly here. No, no. Josh is smart. Josh Josh is not a great leader for his programming ability, his technical ability, his raw intelligence, his football ability. He's got a lot of strengths. Josh is a great leader because of freaking Josh, right? He is a great person. He is a great human, right? His core is great human. Around that are strengths, right? He hasn't replaced the great human with something else. Oh, I'm a great technologist. Oh, I'm the smartest person in the room. No, he's a great human who cares. He has great caring for those around him, and that's the message there. You want to be a great leader, and it's vulnerable. Will you get hurt? Yes.
Yeah.
Will you put yourself at risk? Yes. Right? May you pay a penalty for that? Yeah. Yeah, you may. I mean, I probably lost jobs myself because I put my teams first. Yeah, there's dynamics there, but I'm not going to swap out that internal kernel of the essence of leadership because of that. And when you're a caregiver, that is, you can't. There's no swappage. That's it. That's your anchor. And I would argue that's the anchor on the other side. Josh?
So the thing that popped into my mind is it's called caregiving,
Oh my God.
and it starts with care.
Yeah.
And great leaders bring that same mindset. Now, that is different than how Bob and I were raised as leaders. Bob and I were raised as leaders coming out of the Jack Welch or whatever it was called, where like, you know, you basically don't speak with those subhumans that report to you. It was non emotional. You didn't care. They were resources. They were not people. They were things in a spreadsheet. And folks like Bob and I knew that wasn't the right way. And there were times, and we've talked about this in the podcast, I used to apologize when I was interviewing for a company. I apologized for being how team centric I was. I would say I'm team centric and sometimes to a fault because I didn't want to be perceived as not the kind of leader they thought I should be. Then I finally said, screw that. I'm being me. I'm being the leader that I believe is needed in today's day. Forget today's day and age. The leader that is needed for any group of people, forget whether it was 1950, 1960, 18, whatever. People respond to the kind of leadership that we are talking about. And it is hard and it is messy and it is scary. And all those reasons are why many people choose not to go down that path because it's difficult. Now, the difference is in caregiving, again, we talked about there is no choice. The choice is made for you. So you have to step into becoming a caregiver. Keyword care. And so what we're saying is for all those leaders that are out there that are listening to this is that these are skills that complement each other. And there is very likely in your life that you will be a caregiver. So all of these lessons that you are doing now, you are practicing so that you have a chance to be more effective as that caregiving leader in your future.
My gosh. Metacasters, he dropped be the caregiver, everyone. You are a care, whether you, right? That's how people, they need you to be the caregiver. You have to step into the role. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Josh, thank you for a beautiful drop of the mic. Metacasters, a little bit longer episode. I hope you've hung out with us because I think this is probably one of the best Metacasts or the most important ones we've ever done. So this from beautiful downtown Cary, North Carolina.
And beautiful downtown Fuquay Arena, North Carolina.
I'm Bob, the caregiver Galen.
And I'm Josh, also a caregiver, Anderson.
Hey, shake.
And bake.
Take care, y'all.